Last week, Elijah had prayed to God for the widow's son to come back to life. And he did. Well, time went on, and Elijah continued to tell people all about God and how much God loved them. He got old, though, and Elijah ended up having a wonderful helper called Elisha. Yes, the names do sound very similar. Well, God had spoken to Elijah, and he told him that he was going to go to heaven to be with God. God even told him what day he would go. One day, when Elijah and Elisha were together, Elijah told Elisha that God was taking him to heaven. He also said that he needed to visit some people in a place called Bethel. But he told Elisha to stay where they were and not to come with him. But Elisha didn't want to stay, and he told Elijah he would go wherever Elijah went, and he would not leave him. So off they went to Bethel together. There a group of people came out to meet them, and they said to Elisha, "Don't you know that Elijah's leaving today to go to heaven?" And Elisha replied, "Yes, but let's not talk about it." After they spent some time in Bethel, Elijah told Elisha to stay there and not to come with him, and that he would go on to Jericho alone. But Elisha didn't want to leave Elijah, and he told Elijah again that he would go wherever Elijah went, and that he would not leave him. So off they went to Jericho together. When they arrived at Jericho, again a group of people came out to meet them. And again they said to Elisha, "Don't you know that Elijah's leaving today to go to heaven?" And again Elisha replied, "Yes, but let's not talk about it." After a visit, Elijah told Elisha that he needed to go to the river Jordan, and he told Elisha to stay in Jericho. But Elisha still did not want to leave Elijah, so he told him for the third time that he would go wherever Elijah went, and that he would not leave him. So they continued on walking together towards the river Jordan. 50 of the people from Jericho actually followed Elijah and Elisha. When Elisha and Elijah arrived at the river, Elijah took off his coat and he rolled it up. Then he hit the water with it. The water parted to each side and left a dry part for Elijah and Elisha to walk through to cross the river. Once they were on the other side of the river, Elijah asked Elisha if there was anything he could do for Elisha before God took him to heaven. Elisha replied, "Let me have twice of the power that God gives you." Elijah replied that if Elisha saw Elijah go to heaven, then he would get the power of God that God could give him. But if he didn't, he wouldn't receive it. They continued to walk and talk together until all of a sudden a chariot and horses that looked like they were on fire came down from heaven, and a great big wind blew all around them. Then Elijah was lifted up in the wind and got into the chariot. All the time, Elisha was watching and seeing what was happening as Elijah went up, up, up into heaven. And then he saw Elijah's coat come falling down from the sky. Elisha picked it up and walked back to the river. When he got there, he rolled up the coat and hit the water just like Elijah had done, and he prayed that his wish of having the power from God would come true. And the water parted, and there was dry ground right in front of him, just like before. And he thanked God that God would give him that power. How amazing was that? Chariots and horses of fire, rivers parting, Elijah going to heaven? Amazing. How do you think Elijah felt about going to heaven? finally getting to see God and Jesus, I think he would have felt nervous, excited, and happy all at the same time. Do you ever feel like that? I know I sure do. Do you know that Jesus died for you so that you can go to heaven one day too? He sure did. It says in the Bible in John chapter 3 verse 6 that God loves you so much that Jesus came down from heaven and died on the cross for you. It also says that if we believe that, then one day when Jesus comes back, you can get to go to heaven too. And you can live with God and Jesus forever. How cool and amazing will that be? I really can't wait for that day. How about you?